Alright, this is the second time I'm recording this, and for no reason I've decided to go ahead and rank all of the mostly lore-relevant Pizza Tower characters. So let's go. Right off the bat, Peppino Spaghetti, or playable, or the protagonist of the game, has to go in S tier. I find him to be incredibly relatable. Like, his constant shift from sheer anger to genuine fear is awesome. And, you know, it always seems like, for whatever reason, he's in constant terror. And, I don't know, something about that is really reflects the gameplay. Like, whenever you're not running at the speed of sound, you feel vulnerable. You feel you're worried about being judged. And Peppino, that really fits Peppino as a character. Because, you know, he pretty much just went into the tower to save his business. And, that wasn't exactly a good idea, but it was the only option he felt was necessary. The thing that I also find funny is the fact that Peppino is ungodly powerful, yet he's still terrified of anything that stands in his way. And no matter what, he always seems to be stressed out. Okay, so I actually came up with a theory, and this is going to be super weird, and that's that the Peppino you play as in-game is not the actual Peppino. The actual Peppino is like a hive mind. And every single time a new player installs the game and plays it, a new Peppino is added into that hive mind. So, Peppino is currently experiencing constant stress from all the times you've heard him, the transformations, the timer. He feels all of that. And that's why he's always stressed. Even in the ending screen, where he still looks stressed, he knows his suffering hasn't ended, or even begun. It's just ongoing, and he feels it in so many different ways. Or, he's just like a stereotypical Italian, and is in immense pain every time somebody puts pineapple on pizza, or breaks spaghetti before putting it into the pot. Moving on. Alright, next up we got Gustavo. I'm gonna put Gustavo in A tier. He feels like a mix of Mario and Four-Man Pig. He has the energy, he has some of the energy of Mario, but the mustache of Four-Man. I like Gustavo. He's a good secondary character, and he was fun to play as. But he just kind of feels like the Optimism guy. And while I don't have a problem with that, I'm not a huge fan of Optimism. But that being said, he definitely feels like a more fleshed out Mario. He's super optimistic, very supportive. He's probably Peppino's only friend. And we get to see a little bit about him throughout the various animations that play. Like, he gets drunk in fast food saloon. He's shown to live in a cabin in the freezer level. There's a lot to Gustavo's character, but I don't know. The only problem I have with Gustavo is there's simply not enough of him. With that being said, I'm gonna have to put Brick in C tier, because he's just a rag. I mean, he's funny. The interactions he has with Gustavo throughout the game are funny, but that's pretty much it. I do like how he's not even reading the newspaper when he goes into his idle state. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go with Pepperman. I'm gonna have to put Pepperman in B tier. Pepperman is don't get me wrong, all of the Pizza Tower characters are fantastic. Pepperman especially. Pepperman's personality fits very well for a first boss. Because he's incredibly arrogant, and let's face it, whenever we played Pepperman for the first time, he always kicked our ass the first time. But he's so full of himself that he doesn't take into account that the player would be more resilient. Specifically Peppino, because if you look at Peppino, he doesn't look very powerful at a glance, but then he just gets progressively more powerful the more hits he takes. Because, that's the player learning. But the only issue is with Pepperman I have as a character is his personality, he just kind of fades into obscurity after you defeat him. Like, you see him again in Floor 2. slandering Peppino. But, you know, I thought with how self-centered he is, I thought he would make more of an effort to take Peppino down, like, throughout the game. But that's besides the point. I don't think Pepperman's a bad character. I just feel like he could have been a bit more prominent. But that's okay. That was probably for gameplay purposes. Alright, next we've got Mr. Stick. I'm gonna have to place Mr. Stick in C tier. Because Mr. Stick, just being a guy to take your money, is funny, but at the same time, that's pretty much all he is. He's just always taking money. And you know, technically speaking, if you consider Pizza Tower speedruns canon, which are usually around an hour, and most speedrunners skip the sewer level, which is 5 toppins or $50 you're not getting. There are 95 toppins in the game. If you take that into account, Peppino makes more in an hour than most of us make in a month. And, you know, Mr. Stick comes around and says, "Oh, no, that's free real estate, bud. Give me your money." So that's pretty much sad. Alright, moving on. We've got John. I'm gonna have to place John in B tier. The only thing that's stopping me from placing him in C tier is his constant relevance in every level. Because John is a hive mind of pillars, and he's clearly a victim of Pizza Head's actions, which clearly shows that, you know, he's not some happy guy who just wants to throw shit at Peppino. He's a real villain. He's an asshole. So, I do like how he actually helps Peppino out if you get the true ending, to show that either he eats Pizza Face more than he hates Peppino, or if he never hated Peppino and just wanted to get out of his curse or something. But yeah, he stays relevant throughout the entire game, so I'm going to put him in B. Alright, next up is Jerome. I'm going to have to put Jerome in the same place. He very much reminds me of a minimum wage worker, and he's mostly working in there to save his brother or something. He just gives off the impression of the guy who doesn't really care if he gets fired or not, because he really literally gives Peppino the ability to undo the curse. He's just like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? You need me to unlock the store for you? Yeah, no problem, man, I got you." Something like that. But, yeah, he is a relevant gameplay mechanic like John, but other than that, he's just kind of there. Alright. Next up is the Vigilante. Right off the bat, I have to put Vigilante in A tier, because as it takes in, I have to honor him. The Vigilante as a character he feels like out of place, and that's what makes him fit. Like, I remember reading a comment on YouTube saying that the Vigilante fights with honor, and then somebody replied to that saying, yeah, because he uses a rocket launcher, fire, and explosives, and a machine gun. While he just hands Peppino a gun. I don't think Peppino needs a gun. I think Vigilante is just trying to make things fair for himself, but I somewhat get the feeling that Vigilante already knew who Peppino was, and rather than just try to kill him outright, he just decided, alright, let's do this Texas style. I also love the face he makes if you choose not to pick up the gun at the start of the fight. It adds a lot to his character. He comes off as the person who's trying to take everything seriously, like a Wild West hero, but he just can't because everything in Pizza Tower is so goddamn goofy, and that's what makes him great. Alright, next up, I'm gonna have to go with the Noise. Alright, listen, I love the Noise as a character, but he has to go in S tier just because I feel like he's one of the most developed Pizza Tower characters. Like, most of the interactions you see are between Peppino and the Noise. There was also, like, some lore in there that implies that the Noise isn't just some guy who hates Peppino, he's actually just a Powerpuff Girls abomination of a corporate company. Which is very fitting, considering that Pizza Tower as a whole is supposedly to represent, like, various aspects of competing companies. The most I've seen out of Noise's character is actually in his boss fight, and I loved his boss fight. I was upset that he wasn't a playable character, but I'm very happy for what I got in the boss, because his character just fits so well. He's clearly sick of Peppino. He hates his guts, but he also wants to put on a show for everybody else. That's awesome. Alright, next up we got Fake Peppino. Fake Peppino, I'm gonna have to put him in S. Not because he's the best boss fighter. Well, okay, he's a very interesting boss fight. I always wondered what it would be like to fight Peppino the first time I played the full game, and he is pretty similar to that. I remember seeing him in the old golf builds. I was not expecting him to be a full-on boss, but I'm very glad he was. What makes Fake Peppino work so well as a character is the fact that he's simultaneously hilarious and horrifying. And that just kind of feels like the Pizza Tower art style as a whole. And a lot of people said, oh wow, once Peppino's horrified shriek is understandable. And to everybody who said that, Peppino's horrified shriek at the start of every battle was always understandable. You see a giant anthropomorphic pepper who's almost twice your size, I'd scream too. You see a sentient blob of cheese who's got a gun with a cowboy hat, I'd scream too. You see that guy from high school you absolutely despise, I'd scream too. But this, I would do more than just scream. I'd probably piss myself too. And the end segment, while it was a little bit underwhelming, it's definitely scary. But overall, I think that's great. Fake Peppino also has a little bit more lore relevance, in the war level, where it's shown that he and John are cloned and constantly, almost. And there's just so much ambiguity behind Fake Peppino, and it really makes you want to learn more about him. Alright, so next we've got Noisette. I'm gonna have to put Noisette in C tier. Not because she's a woman, just because she doesn't have a whole lot of relevance outside of Noise's boss fight, where she just comes off as the boomer stereotype, wife bad. But oh man, my bad. I have watched those animations of Noisette Cafe, and if the artist is watching that, I like your work. It's really, really good. It's very funny, but I just don't think she's a whole lot more outside of that. I mean, people can loot her. I can move her up to B tier for that, but I'm not really into that, so I'm gonna keep her at C tier. Alright, let me see. Who else? Who? Alright, lastly we've got Pizza Face. I'm gonna have to put, not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to put Pizza Face. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put Pizza Face in D tier. I like his design, his gameplay mechanics are interesting, but his motives as a character, I know Pizza Tower isn't really lore driven, even though there's a lot of established lore between Peppino and some of the other characters. The thing that makes me set him here is because this isn't even his final form, and also because he just seems to terrorize Peppino for, no given reason. It's good, once again, Pizza Tower's not lore heavy, but outside of that, he doesn't really have that much character, if I'm being real. You can include Lap 3 if you want to. I don't feel 100% confident about this choice, but Pizza Face as a character is not someone I've given a whole lot of thought to, so feel free to share your opinions if you want. Alright, next we've got... Oh, we're already almost at the end. For clarification, I'm not going to be including any of the enemies, because I don't feel like that's necessary. Actually, I do feel the need to include like the Toppin monsters or the Toppin animatronics. I guess I could include them. Okay, Mort the Chicken. Mort the Chicken is implied to be like an important character because, you know, he's from Mort the Chicken from that PS1 game, and, you know, you acquire him during the escape sequence, but once again, I'm just gonna have to put him in D tier, because outside of a level, outside of the gimmick, he just doesn't have a whole lot going for him. I mean, it's hilarious that they got this guy to be like a special guest, or something like that. I think that's pretty cool, but sorry, McPig, as much as you like Mort the Chicken, I'm just not a fan of him as a character. Also, the second secret in Fun Form sucks ass. Who else? Oh yeah, the Toppin monsters. Nah, I don't think I really need to go into that. The FNAF level was one of my favorite levels, if that counts. Alright. Where is... No, where's Pizza Head? There he is. Alright, Pizza Head. Pizza Head, I feel Pizza Head is very different from Pizza Face in the sense that, you know, while he still has the same motivations as Pizza Face, everything from Phase 2 onward in the final boss fight just shows how consistent he is to get rid of Peppino. Nah, let's put him in A tier. I made a joke saying that, you know, Pizza Steve really went downhill after Uncle Grandpa got canceled. But to be honest, he feels a lot like Pizza Steve as a character. He's arrogant, persistent, and probably insecure deep down. He always has to show off, but he still knows that Peppino has to die, or else, you know, his plan is going to fail. And that doesn't happen. And he doesn't die, either. So, I'm saying. Let me just check and make sure I didn't miss anybody important. Oh yeah, the priest. I guess we can rank the priest. The priest is like top tier. The priest is almost top tier comedy because, you know, he's just there to remove the transformations if you need it, and he's like always there no matter what. This is a tough choice. We'll put him in B tier because he's more so a gameplay element than an actual character. And what else? Well, no, I said I was gonna rank the Toppin monsters, so I guess I'll rank them. Alright, let's start with the mushroom. The mushroom was probably the I don't really have a whole lot to say about the mushroom. I think I'll drop the mushroom down in C tier. Now the cheese guy was absolutely horrifying. He's going in A tier. No doubt about that. And as for the tomato guy, or the tomato puppet, I think the tomato puppet's also probably gonna have to go in... No, B. That guy's also really creepy, but he's kind of slow, and I can usually outrun him most of the time, but... Other than that. Then we got the meat cleaver guy. I think I'll put him over in... I'll put him down here with the mushroom. His gameplay mechanic is cool, but again, it's not really much of a character. Oh yeah, as for this guy is probably gonna go into A tier, just because of how stylish he is for like no given reason. Alright, let me check and make sure I didn't miss any important looking characters. I think that's it. Feel free to I may make a video on like all the animes, but even if I did, I would probably just put the Fortnite 8 in D, and then that would probably just be where everyone stops watching the video. But yeah, there we go.